Hi everyone. Today we'll be discussing the LeetCode problem of the day, water bottles 2. So in this question you are given two integers, num bottles and num exchange. So num bottles represent how many full water bottles you initially have, and in one operation you can perform these two operations. Any of these two operations. The first operation is you can drink any number of full bottles and that operation will convert them to empty bottles. And in the second type of operation, you can exchange number of empty water bottles to a full bottle. After doing this, you have to increase the value of num exchange by 1. So this means if you have num bottles, you have total 3 bottles, and you have the num exchange as 1. So in the previous question where it was just water bottles, if the num bottles is 3 and the num exchange is 1, so you can directly get 3 full bottles by exchanging all of them with the exchange rate 1. But in this question, you can't exchange multiple batches of the water bottles for this exchange rate. So if you have the number of empty bottles 3 and the exchange rate is 1, so you can exchange only one bottle. So this you will get one full bottle and you will be left with 2 empty bottles. Now after this, since we have to increase the value of num exchange, now num exchange will be 2. So now we have 2 empty bottles, so we can exchange these with the exchange rate of 2. So you will have again one full bottle plus 0 empty bottles. So if you have total 3 bottles initially, you can only get 2 full bottles because the num exchange keeps increasing after each exchange. And at the end, you just have to return the maximum number of bottles that you can drink. Now let's look at an example. In the first example, you initially have 13 full bottles and your num exchange is 6. So first, what you'll do is you will drink all these 13 bottles and this will produce 13 empty bottles. Now this 13 empty bottles, the exchange rate is 6. So you can't exchange 12 bottles to get 2 full bottles because the exchange rate keeps increasing. So at each time you can only exchange 6 bottles. So first 13 bottles. In the 13 bottles you will exchange 6 bottles. So you will get one full bottle, and 13 minus 6, you will get 7 empty bottles. Now this 7, you can again for this 7, the exchange rate will now become 7. So 7 empty bottles you will exchange for the rate of 7 and you will get one full bottle and plus 0 empty bottles. So now you have 2 full bottles and 0 empty bottles. So you drink these 2 full bottles. So in answer you will add plus 2. And this will produce us 2 empty bottles. So I think after this exchange, you also have to increase the exchange rate. So this becomes 8. And now you have 2 empty bottles, but since the exchange rate is 2, exchange rate is 8, so you can't exchange these bottles. So your final answer will be 13 plus 2, which is 15. So now let's just quickly look at the input 2 as well. So here we have number of bottles 10 and exchange rate 3. So number of bottles 10 and the exchange rate is 3. And initially in your answer, you will first drink all the 10 bottles and that will produce 10 empty bottles. Now to these 10 empty bottles, first you can only exchange 3 bottles to get 1 full bottle, and that will leave us with 7 empty bottles, and the exchange rate will increase by 1. Now this 7 empty bottles, we can get 1 full bottle. With the exchange rate of 4, you will be left with 3 empty bottles, and now the exchange rate will become 5. So when you exchange the 10, total you have 2 full bottles plus 3 empty bottles. So if you drink these 2 full bottles, so in the answer I'll add plus 2. The total empty bottles will be 3 plus 2, 5 empty bottles. So since the exchange rate is 5 and we have 5 empty bottles, we can exchange this with 1 full bottle plus 0 empty bottles, and the exchange rate increases by 1. So we drink this full bottle, so we have plus 1, and this will produce 1 empty bottle. Now since the exchange rate is greater than the empty bottles, we can't exchange further, so we stop. And the total answer is 10 plus 2 plus 1, which is 13. Now coming to the approach, I'd like to discuss the approach for this problem along with the code, because this is a simulation type of problem. The basic idea is, initially we have 10 empty bottles and some num exchange. So we can just run a loop while the number of empty bottles is greater than or equal to exchange. So as long as empty bottles is greater than or equal to exchange, so we can make an exchange. So in this, we will reduce empty bottles by the exchange value, and that will produce us a new full bottle. So we'll drink up the full bottle, and since we are drinking the full bottle, we get 1 extra empty bottle. And since we have already made an exchange, we have to increase the exchange value by 1. So we keep repeating this process, and as long as empty is greater than exchange. So let's see the code, and it will be a bit clear. We'll use input 2 along with the code for dry run. So initially we have 10. This is answer. So first we drink all the 10 bottles, and that will produce us 10 empty bottles, and the exchange rate is 3. So first step is answer equal to num bottles and empty equal to num bottles. So first answer is 10 and we have 10 empty bottles. So we just run the loop while empty is greater than or equal to this num exchange. So now we have 10 bottles and the exchange rate is 3. So we can exchange 3 bottles to get 1 full bottle. So this is full. So we have 1 full bottle and the remaining empty bottle is 7. And since we made an exchange, our exchange rate increases by 1. So it becomes 4. Now what we can do is, like in the question, in the example, after doing 1 exchange, he increased the exchange rate by 1, so it becomes 4, and then he again proceeded to do another exchange. So before exchanging, we can just drink this bottle and this will increase the empty. So we can do it in any order. We can exchange once and then drink it and exchange again, or we can keep exchanging, and once all the exchange is done, then drink the bottles. So at the end the result will be same only. So what we can do is, after exchanging, we quickly drink this bottle. So this will be 0, my empty bottles will be 8, and in my answer I'll add 1. The exchange rate remains same. The exchange rate increases only when you exchange and not while drinking. So now we have empty as 4, empty as 8, and the exchange rate is 4. So we can exchange 4 bottles to get 1 full bottle, and the remaining will be 4. And we have to increase the exchange rate by 1, so it becomes 5. So in the code, first what we can do is, we have to reduce the empty by number of exchange. So initially it was 10, 10 minus 3, it will be 7. After doing this, we will quickly increase the exchange rate also by 1. So after this, we have produced one full bottle. So let's drink it. That means adding it in the answer. And since we are drinking it, it will produce us a new empty bottle. So we will increase the empty value as well. So at this point, we have made an exchange. We have 4 empty bottles and 1 full bottle. Since we have 1 full bottle, we will quickly drink it. So this will be 0 and it will give 1 extra bottle, 1 extra empty bottle, and the exchange rate remains same. And in the answer, we'll add +1. Now finally, we have exchange rate is 5. Exchange rate is 5 and empty bottles is 5. So we'll exchange 5 bottles to get 1 full bottle, and empty bottles is 0 and exchange rate is 6. And as soon as we have a full bottle, we will drink it. So this will be 0, empty bottles will be 1, exchange rate is 6. And since we are drinking it, I'll add in my answer. So now we can see that empty bottle is 1, exchange is 6. So empty greater than equal to exchange condition fails. So we get out of the loop. And whatever the answer is, here it is 13. So that means at the end, we are drinking 13 bottles. So we can just write an answer. Yeah, if I submit. Yeah, it works. Finally, let's do the time and space complexity analysis. So the time complexity is a bit tricky. So initially we have some empty bottles and num exchange. At each step, we are increasing the num exchange by 1. So first it is num exchange, and then it becomes num exchange plus 1. And then we are exchanging num exchange plus 2 bottles. And so on up to num exchange plus k bottles. So after k iterations, this loop stops. So that means the total number of bottles we exchange, this will be less than equal to the num bottles. So I'll denote it by B, the num bottles. So if I add all of this up, it will be k times n. So n into k, plus we have 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 till k. So we can have k into k plus 1 by 2. And this should be less than equal to b. Let me just expand it a bit. So n into k plus k square by 2 plus k by 2 less than equal to b. Now since we are making an approximation, we can ignore these two terms because k square is a dominant term and this is just order of k. So we can simply say k square by 2 less than equal to b. So that means k less than equal to root of 2b. So we can simply say the time complexity will be order of root number of bottles. So we have, so we have our time complexity is order of square root of n, and space complexity is constant since we are just taking we are just initializing few variables, answer, empty bottles. And I also have the code in Python. If anyone wants to view it, I'll add it in the description as well. And let's catch up in the next video.